Today's reading is Dark Mage, an entry from the Monster Encyclopedia book series. A type of Mage who possess high magical power and a command of various spells. They are frequently confused with the Witches of Sabbath, but unlike them, who were made witches by the Baphomets, the leaders of Sabbath, these Dark Mages, are human women who possessed strong desires, much like a monster, and unconsciously started absorbing the surrounding demon mana into their own body when they sought the power to sate these desires, awakening as Dark Mages, or Witches. Unlike the Witches of Sabbath, who are commanded by the Baphomets and sometimes also use their spells for their own organization and groups, the Dark Mage who fell as a witch due to their own desires are genuinely hedonistic and self-centered, and their spells are used for the sake of their own personal pleasures. Usually most of them live in dwellings deep within isolated forests or swamps, but once they reveal themselves before people, they'll mercilessly exercise their magical power to satisfy their own desires. Being extremely honest about their own desires, they are uninhibited when it comes to sex and will act according to their own newfound monstrous desires and seek human men, using countless spells to try and cajole men. They will resort to any means necessary if it is for the sake of obtaining a man that strikes their fancy, sometimes causing huge incidents, such as converting an entire town where the man lives into a demon realm, and sometimes subduing the residents they converted into monsters and reigning over the town they converted into a demon realm with their own hands. Many of these infamous witches are called things such as wicked witches, are these dark mages rather than the witches of Sabbath. That was a very strange way to say that these witches are called wicked because they are unpredictable and entirely self-centered. Additionally, the forest and swamps in which they live are enchanted, causing men who enter them to lose their way and be led to various monsters in the swamp or the Dark Mage's own dwellings. Where they have sex, they apply ample spells to make the man they obtained engrossed with them and satisfy their own inflamed desires, so as to maximize each other's pleasure. By becoming witches, they become lewd, like the embodiment of desire, and their body causes a man's body to steadily adapt to their mana by inciting his carnal desire, as well as by simply having sex with him. The pleasure generated by the witch's body reduces the man's spell resistance, and as his thoughts become filled with her during sex, her spells start to exhibit greater effects, granting the man endless stamina and an unceasing desire for her. They bind a master-servant contract with the men they imprison in this manner and take them as their familiars. Most of those who acquire a familiar will then stay holed up together in their little dwelling more than even before, loving and making love with the man who is both their husband and their familiar, spending indulgent days slurping his mana. While living in this manner, they will accumulate mana, steadily increasing their own power as a witch. As their power as a witch increases, so too does their voluptuousness and their desire towards their husband, and pursuit of pleasure by means of sorcery. Both grow even more profoundly decadent. All of their spells and magical power are used to satisfy their own desires. Namely, they use it to make the time they spend with their husband richer and full of even more joy and ecstasy.